Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's Bruce here. I haven't done any postings for quite some time now. That's been a mixture of being a little bit busy and, to be honest, a lack of inspiration to actually do a posting. As you can see, I've got quite a few albums behind me, and I couldn't really establish a theme, etc. for I just wasn't getting it. I wasn't getting fired up about it until I watched just the other day I watched a posting from Rob Walker, so thanks again to Rob for inspiring me, from a few weeks back, where Rob looked at albums, some of them classic, some of them lesser known, but the connection was they were released on exactly the same day. And he looked at about 9 of those, paired them up. I had a quick, rummage through my collection. Had a flick through, trying to find albums that matched up. Didn't have much success. Tend to have one but not the other, etc. So I was still a bit, lacking in anything to talk about, until I discovered that I have in fact 3 albums that were released on the same day. That date is October the 10th, 1969. A date I don't remember well because I was only about 4 years old. I wish I were a bit older and I could have looked forward to, anticipated the release of these 3 albums. But I do have them in my collection. So anyway, let's get started and see where we go with this one. The first album which I want to talk about is the Kinks Arthur. It's subtitled the Decline and Fall of the British Empire. They were quite keen on long titles, weren't they? Sergeant Pepper's influence, but anyway, in those days. You can see this is a reproduction of the original gatefold sleeve. It's got the inner, you can see that rather nice cartoon there. This is on BMG, which is a record label I don't really know. I think they do reissues. I think this is pressed in EU, probably in Slovakia or something like that. Anyway, there we are. The lead single from here, you might know, even non-Kinks fans, was Victoria, which is an absolutely excellent single. I think one of their best. Whole album though, it's a loose, again, one of those concept albums. I think it's about someone who emigrates to Australia, hence the kangaroo on the great gatefold sleeve. But it's really pleasant, it's quintessentially English, which is what the Kinks are really famous for, sounding really like no other band at the time. Anyway, so that's the first one on October the 10th, 1969, the Kinks Arthur. The second album which I'd like to show, I think I've posted this one before, so you'll see this familiar face with a slightly pained expression. Are they screaming? I don't know. This is In the Court of the Crimson King by King Crimson. This is it's a later pressing. It's actually on a reissue label. This is the Polydor issue. I think this is probably late 70s, early 80s, this one. I've had it for a good 35 odd years, more than that, nearly 40 years I think since I bought this one. Terrific album. I mean, what can you say about it? The opening track sort of blasts in with 21st Century Schizoid Man, which has got an interesting sort of jazz bridge in it, which I always thought was a slightly sort of reminiscent of something like a Lalo Schifrin type composition. But it's got all the moods in it. It's got I Talk to the Wind, a soft flute one. Of course, not forgetting the late great Ian MacDonald composed at least half of this album and played reeds and keyboards on there. Anyway, interestingly also, thinking about this album, you know, such a terrific cover, and it's one of those questions, you know, what if had he survived? Barry Godber, the artist, I think died within a year of doing this cover, and you know, that was it. I think the original illustration wound up in a, I can't remember where, but in an office somewhere, and was retrieved by the guitarist Robert Fripp, who's now got the original in his home. Anyway, let's move on to my last choice from October the 10th, 1969, and it's the late great Frank Zappa with Hot Rats. Again, another iconic album. I don't know how any of these albums did commercially. I think Caught the Crimson King did rather well. It was sort of a top 10 album. Maybe Arthur was a bit lower, you know, end of the charts. I'm not sure about the Zappa album anyway. You know, this is mainly instrumental. I think there's one song on here which is sung by Don Van Vliet, otherwise known as Captain Beefheart. This is I think a second or third press, probably early 70s. But yeah, it's quite filmic, sort of cartoon-like. I think that was, you know, there was perhaps a you know, a soundtrack writer in Zappa, which occasionally came out. But yeah, this is an absolutely gorgeous album. Great guitar solos, you know, really. He was gifted, you know, a very great loss to the music business. Anyway, that's the end of my posting. Thanks again to Rob Walker for that one. I know Rob has been rather unwell, and we've welcomed him back into the vinyl community. Good to see him. And I look forward to your comments if you'd like to drop any down below. Maybe there's suggestions, maybe there's a fourth album, something I missed on October the 10th, 1969. Not sure, but any other suggestions, comments will as ever be welcome. And I hope I shall see you again before very long. Thanks then. Bye.